Hi guys, welcome to my channel. I'm so excited for the video that I have for you guys today. I worked so hard on it. It took a really long time, but I'm really happy with the results. So for today's video, I decided to recreate 3 of my favorite paintings. The 3 paintings that I recreated are called The Mermaids of the Canary Islands by Tim Ashkar, Sugar Shack by Ernie Barnes, and The Star by Edgar Degas. Next time I'm going to do another video like this, and I'm going to dedicate it solely to female artists. Let's get started with the first painting, The Mermaids of the Canary Islands. So this was painted by Tim Ashkar in 1998. One of his most famous paintings is Beauty of Color, and it depicts these beautiful black women and also children as well. Ashkar studied under Judith Cerberoli. I think I'm pronouncing that right. She's the daughter of the Italian artist Hector Cerberoli. I recommend looking up his other paintings too because they are so beautiful. So in order to create the mermaid painting, I wanted to create a fishtail. So I considered photoshopping a tail onto my body, but then I thought that's gonna look really fake. And I mean, mermaids aren't real. I just didn't want it to look really fake, right? So then I was like, well, maybe I could just buy one of those mermaid fishtail blankets, but I couldn't find one at Walmart, and I'm too impatient to wait for it in the mail. I wanted to get started on this project right away. So I decided to use a white plastic tablecloth and create the fishtail myself. So you can see here, I'm mapping out how big the fishtail needs to be, and I pinned it together. I was considering using my sewing machine to sew it up, but because it's plastic material, I wasn't sure if that would be a good idea for me to put it through my sewing machine. So I hand sewed the entire thing. It wasn't very sturdy, but I only needed it for the video. So I also needed some prop instruments. I don't have any instruments in my home, so I just used cardboard to create what looks like a harp and some type of horn. So the way that I took the photo, and I unfortunately don't have any footage of me taking the photo, was my roommate Erin took some of the pictures for me, and then the rest of them I took by shooting a video of myself dressed up as the mermaids and hitting the different poses that the mermaids were in. Then I went back through the video and screenshot all the poses. So then I was able to compile all of the Rachael mermaids into one photo. And then I put them through a filter that I found from this website called LunaPics. I'll link it in the description. But I put it through a filter to make it look like a painting, and it doesn't look exactly like the painting. I couldn't find the correct filter for it, but I still love how it turns out. So here is the finished product. I know it doesn't look exactly like the original, but I really like it anyways. I'm gonna call it The Mermaids of the Rachael Islands. This next painting is called Sugar Shack. It was painted by Ernie Barnes in 1976, and this one was actually recommended to me by my friend Regina. So thank you, Regina. So this painting may look a little bit familiar to some of you. It was used in 1976 by Marvin Gaye. The painting caught Marvin Gaye's eye, and he used it as his album cover for the album I Want You. So about Ernie Barnes, he was a real Renaissance man, and I found a lot of interesting information about him when I was doing my research. So aside from painting, he was also an NFL painter, an author, and an actor. He studied art so thoroughly that he was able to interpret some of the most famous paintings in museums that he wasn't even allowed to go into because during his childhood, segregation was still a thing. On top of that, as a child, he was bullied for being overweight, and a masonry teacher at his high school actually got him into football and weightlifting to help him cope with the bullying. Barnes asked a museum guide where he could find paintings by black artists, and the guide told him, "Oh, your people don't express themselves that way." Huh? Like, what a slap in the face to tell a young black artist your people don't express themselves that way. But 23 years later, his art was in that museum. it looks like we do express ourselves that way. On the topic of the sugar shack, he painted that from a childhood memory where he snuck into an armory that would host dances for Black people. There were about 24 characters in the piece, and that's a lot. So I only chose about like 18 or 19 of them to recreate. To take the pictures, I used the same technique that I used before, where I took a video of myself hitting the different poses and then took screenshots of the poses. So I made 2 videos, one for the female characters in the painting and one for the male characters. For the female characters, I wore the same yellow dress for every character. For the male characters, I rolled up my dress and put on pants and wore that for all of the male characters. I had a really difficult time photoshopping this one because I was looking up like basement club backgrounds on Google and I couldn't find anything that really matched. I pretty much went on Photoshop and created the basement scene from scratch. And then I went through and for all 18 to 19 characters, I cut them out of the original screenshots from the video and moved them into a position and then changed the color of their clothes. It was a really long and tedious process. So after I was finally finished photoshopping it, I put a filter on it from LunaPics, and I went through a bunch of different filters because none of them really matched the original painting. So I've compiled a collage of all the filters that I used on it, and every single picture it looks so cool, but it doesn't look like the original, and that's okay. So I decided to go with these 2 paintings here, and even though they don't look exactly the same, I think they look so cool. I really am happy with this one. I love how both of them look. I love how all the filters look, actually. So now we have the last painting, which is titled The Star by Edgar Degas, which depicts a dancer who could be in arabesque, she could be in attitude, I can't really tell. The artist Edgar Degas, he was a really amazing impressionist, but he actually did not consider himself to be an impressionist. He considered himself to be a realist. But aside from the fact that he was an amazing impressionist, he was a terrible person. He was very, very cruel to the dancers he painted. And it's even asserted by some historians that he may have sexually abused the dancers, which is very serious. So you're probably thinking now, well, why are you including him in this? So as a dancer, I have a lot of Degas paintings, and I have them in order to memorialize the dancers, not the artist. So as a dancer, I know what it's like to be abused by these dance higher-ups under the guise that they're helping my career, that they're doing something to help me. I think a lot of dancers go through that and we don't realize it, and it's a cycle. And then we end up perpetuating that against our own students. So back when Degas was painting dancers, ballerinas doubled as sex workers, essentially. And they didn't get into the profession of ballet most of the time with the idea that they were going there to become sex workers. They got into the profession because they wanted to be ballerinas. But a lot of the sex work was, oh, there's this wealthy person who came to the ballet, I need you to go sleep with him to secure a donation for the company. And that's what a lot of the sex work was. So you can imagine there was a psychological toll that was taken on all the dancers. When you look at a painting like this, where you can see some of the dancers are dancing, but a lot of them are tying their shoes or talking, or they just look nervous. And that emotion really just jumps off the canvas at you when you look at his paintings. One work of art that he did that I really want you guys to check out is called Little Dancer Age 14. It's a sculpture, and it depicts a young dancer, a 14-year-old dancer named Marie, who wanted to dance with the Paris Opera Ballet. She wanted to become a professional ballerina. Ultimately, she didn't have the money to continue training. Degas offered to pay her money if she would model for his paintings and drawings and sculptures so that she could continue taking classes and training. Ultimately, the money wasn't enough. But she has a very, very interesting story. So I suggest that you guys look her up. Her name is Marie, I can't think of her last name. So back to this painting, The Star. I needed to create a tutu for it because I don't own a tutu right now. So I created it from tulle and an elastic band, and you can see that I'm wrapping the elastic band around my waist to see how long it needs to be, and then I am pinning the tulle to it in kind of like an accordion fold fashion. So here's where I made a mistake. I used my sewing machine to sew the tulle to the elastic, and I was originally going to do a zigzag stitch because I thought maybe if I did a zigzag stitch, the elastic band would maintain its elasticity. But for some reason my machine started malfunctioning when I did the zigzag stitch, so I took it as a sign that the ancestors didn't want me to do the zigzag stitch. So I did a straight stitch instead. The band lost all of its elasticity. So I was able to get the tutu on, but it was just very difficult, so don't do what I did. For the leotard, all of my leotards are at my parents' house, so I got a blue shirt and tucked that in and kind of rolled up the sleeves. I tied a pink ribbon around my neck, and I created these paper flowers and placed them on my head, on my chest, on my waist, and on the tutu in various places. And also, my roommate Erin built a fitness/dance studio in a corner of our living room, so I thought that would be the perfect place to take this picture. I wouldn't have to edit the background very much, so I took the picture there. And the most difficult part of taking that picture was that I couldn't really tell what position this dancer was in. I couldn't see, you can't see her back leg in the painting, so you don't know if she's in arabesque or in attitude. And I think Degas must have been sitting in the balcony at a show when he painted this, so I realized it's more of an aerial view, so it's just hard to pinpoint what her position is. At the end of the day, I could only do what I thought it was, which was an arabesque. So then I put it in Photoshop and changed the color of the shirt and the ribbon, of course. And I was also able to find an impressionist filter on the LunaPics app. And so I just love how it turned out. I think the filter is perfect for it. This is why this one, the results of this one are my favorite, because they look so, they just fit the style of the painting. The only thing that I don't like about this finished product is that when I tried to change the ribbon to black, it didn't look good. Like, it didn't look like a ribbon anymore. It looked like, I don't know, like a toddler colored in black marker over the picture. So I don't like that, but I think the rest of it looks really beautiful. I'm really proud of it. So let me know what you guys think of this video, of this concept. I'll do more recreations too, not even just of paintings, but of anything. Let me know, and let me know in the comments what was your favorite painting that I recreated, what was your favorite painting in general, and which results were your favorite as well. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe, and that's it. Goodbye.